Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are diving into something that is honestly profoundly psychological and, well, deeply personal. We're exploring that quiet, incredibly powerful shift that happens when someone you just can't stop thinking about finally realizes your true value. It's a really fascinating look at how human connections actually work beneath the surface.
So ask yourself honestly for a second, has someone just been kind of gently, quietly popping into your thoughts again and again, even when you're literally trying your hardest to distract yourself? The source material we're looking at today suggests this is absolutely not a random occurrence. It's not a coincidence, and it's definitely not just your imagination running wild. It actually means a connection is actively shifting right now. They are slowly beginning to understand that you were far, far more meaningful to their life than they ever allowed themselves to admit.
All right, moving to section 1, the mark you left behind and exactly why you stay in their mind.
Think about all the people we meet. Faces pass, conversations eventually fade out, right? But you remained. Why is that? Well, it's because while a lot of folks bring this temporary spark of excitement or, a fleeting attraction, what you brought to the table was profoundly different. You offered genuine comfort, a true feeling of safety, and this deep understanding. You didn't just exist in their life. You totally changed how they felt about themselves. The mind always remembers what the heart recognized, even when their ego was desperately trying to ignore it at the time.
Which brings us to section 2, the phase of distance, denial and avoidance.
So this actually builds psychologically in 3 pretty clear steps. Step 1, ego and avoidance. Before any kind of realization happens, they initially handle this connection by just creating distance. They literally told themselves they didn't need you, mistakenly believing that if they just stayed busy and avoided their feelings, things would be easier. But of course, that leads right into step 2, noticeable absence. Slowly, your absence gets loud, and that bleeds straight into step 3, unignorable emptiness. They start to feel your absence. It's kind of like that heavy, ringing silence in a room right after the music suddenly stops.
Now, there's a really fascinating paradox here. Comfort creates blindness. And this explains perfectly why they didn't see your worth right out of the gate. Your unwavering comfort actually made them blind to what they had. Your presence just felt normal to them. Your patience was completely expected. And your understanding, they thought that was permanently guaranteed. They never truly believed the distance between you two would actually become permanent, or that the silence would grow this loud.
Okay, section 3, when the realization hits and the quiet shift that follows.
The text points out that realization comes in quiet moments. They start feeling something missing, not broken, just incomplete. You see, this realization, it doesn't arrive with fireworks. There are no sudden dramatic confessions or cinematic apologies. Instead, it creeps in silently during those late nights and early mornings when life finally just slows down. Softly and gently, they begin to remember your voice, your presence, and how you uniquely understood them without them ever needing to explain themselves. Inevitably, their brain starts emotionally comparing everyone else to you. And what they find is, well, other people might give them some shallow attention. Forced laughs, surface-level chats. But you offered actual depth, a real connection, and this totally unspoken understanding. They're figuring out that while attention is super cheap, that depth you provided is nearly impossible to replace.
Next up is section 4, fear, unspoken regret, and the heavy weight of silence.
Regret doesn't scream. It sits quietly in the chest. Just think about the psychological weight of that silent remorse for a second. They are actively rewinding the tape, replaying choices, conversations, tiny moments, just trying to figure out where it all went sideways. And every single time, it leads them right back to the exact same undeniable truth. They massively underestimated you.
So you're probably thinking, if they feel all this, why on earth haven't they reached out? Well, realization doesn't magically equal courage. Instead, fear takes the wheel. They're held back by the fear of rejection, the very genuine fear of messing up the piece you finally found, and that incredibly heavy fear that they are just too late. So they end up trapped in this cycle where they just wait even though the waiting is actively hurting them.
But here is the kicker you need to remember. If they return, it is absolutely not going to be casual. It will be incredibly careful. If they ever do cross that bridge and reach out, they're going to tread so lightly because they finally understand exactly what silence and emotional distance can destroy. They know exactly what's at stake now.
All right, our final section, section 5, reclaiming your true value. Because at the end of the day, this is entirely about your worth.
let's pivot the narrative completely away from just waiting around or hoping for someone else's return. We actually need to redefine letting go. Letting go isn't about erasing the past or pretending the connection didn't mean anything. It means respecting yourself and staying whole. It's realizing that if they return, great, it means they grew. But if they don't, hey, that lesson was theirs to learn, not yours to carry. You remain whole regardless.
Here is your ultimate takeaway. You left a mark that literally cannot be erased. That isn't a loss, that is impact. Your emotional energy meant something profound, and it proves you matter deeply long before that other person ever caught up to realize it. Your value was always right there, intrinsic and totally unchanging.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a quiet, kind of provocative question to chew on. Who came to your mind while you were listening today? Was it someone you lost? Someone you somehow still feel, even in the dead silence? Or someone who just never truly left your heart? I invite you to acknowledge that lasting impact. Some connections, they don't just end, They quietly wait, they teach us, and they change us forever. Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating topic with me today. Keep learning, and hey, keep recognizing your true worth.